for NewsTalk Tonight, and we're talking about, well, distracted driving. So let's see where this goes. But it's always a fun time to hang out with Jim. Also, it gives people time to join the live, which is really just a short little blurb. A moment in time. Not used to doing two hits a day. Today, earlier we were on a different radio show. We're just busy. We're busy, busy, busy. So cool. I think they're on a commercial break. Possibly, maybe. Okay. Mike's having steak and
This is News Talk Tonight with Jim Richards on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
And thank you very much. Just a reminder, coming up after in about 15 minutes time, we have our segment. There's a podcast for that. Two prominent broadcasters, one person who does a morning show in Toronto, Josie Dye, and Cynthia Loyce. They have a new podcast that's kind of exploded. It's called Unmentionables. Two women talking, frankly, like everybody talks, in that there's a whole bunch of things that society deems to be taboo, but yet everyone has them and does them possibly in your life. There are people who cheat. There are people who do things that maybe we don't all accept as normal, but these are two women who interview people about all sorts of things, including embarrassing stories about, well, you'll have to find out. And I admit something to them as well that didn't go as well as I thought it would. Do we edit it out? I don't know if we edited it out. Tony, did we edit the thing that I said? First I said, here's how it went. I said, edit it out. Then I said, don't edit it out. And then I said, oh yeah, maybe edit it out. But I forget where I ended on that, Tony.
Well, I ended on everybody's going to know your secrets tonight.
You edited it out?
I did not.
Okay,
I ended on everyone's going to know your secrets.
It did. I'm not going to say what it was, just in case nobody picks up on it. From my lovely perch on my drive into work and home each and every day, I do not drive to work. I take the TTC, the streetcar, despite what has been going on. And a couple of days, a couple of weeks ago, a charming individual sitting down beside me across the aisle and defecating on the seat. I've had people karate chop me. I've had the same guy show me his karate kicks. It reminds me of that Letterman episode where I forget the guy's name, and he's like, starts going, I can do karate kicks. And he was like coming within inches of Letterman's face. That's happened to me on the TTC as well. All sorts of interesting individuals. But what you get to see when you look down, it's like driving a truck. If you're a truck driver, I'd love to hear from you at 1-855-633-1010. It might not be, hey, what are the interesting things that you've seen people eating and driving? It might be, what have you seen people doing while driving? Because one time, I think it was a couple of it was a couple of years ago, just before the holidays, there was a man in a car all by himself getting into the holiday spirit. I don't know how to put this. He was driving. He liked the Yule log a lot. And I was like, should he be doing that in driving? I don't know. Probably distracted driving, like really distractive driving, or maybe. We're joined right now by a individual who is heard on the iHeart Talk Radio Network quite often on Jerry Agar's show. That is a daytime show, and his name is Constable Sean Shapiro. Constable, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.
It was this other guy's pleasure is what I was talking about.
I gathered.
If that's what you were referring to. Eating and driving, despite everybody rolls out of the drive-thru, probably with a coffee in one hand and a breakfast sandwich in the other, eating and driving can be considered clearly as distracted driving, correct?
Actually, distracted driving charges are specific to cell phone use, handheld communication, handheld entertainment, or screen visible to user or to driver.
Oh,
So
really?
that's for those charges. But you could be charged for careless driving if you're drinking or eating, and it's taking away from your ability to safely operate that vehicle.
Okay, can we do one-upping here? Like, what is the craziest outside of holding the device and driving? We've seen people shave and drive, put on their makeup and drive. I saw a guy once on Mount Pleasant eating pasta and driving, but it was the full-on like plate between his legs, twirling the pasta with his fork and driving, which could be dangerous if you had to slam on your brakes really quickly. And I'd love to hear from other people, especially, I guess, 18-wheelers have that vantage point where they can look down on so many different things. So I only got 5 minutes here, 1-855-633-1010. What have you seen or pulled people over for?
I've seen it all from video conferencing to eating cereal in a bowl.
That was a counselor in Toronto. Weren't they driving and attending a council meeting?
There is someone who did that, and that was, of course, called out in big and bold. But anything that is distracted, if you're not paying attention to the road, and if you're looking at a screen, that's a major problem. People TikToking, recording videos, big problem. Now we're seeing people Netflixing instead of chilling, they're driving. They just can't get enough of their shows. I guess they're trying to catch up, but it's not okay. It's terrible distraction. And of course, we're going to hold you accountable if we pull you over and charge you. But worse, you might end up by running into the person in front of you.
So when people are Netflix and driving, because if you don't have a modern car that has the touch screen with the GPS on it, you're legally allowed to have your phone mounted. And I guess they're doing it that way. They're mounting their phone. And if you can kind of figure out what they're doing while they're driving and they're watching, I don't know, Last of Us on Crave, that is clearly distracted driving.
Absolutely. If they're watching a television show or they're watching a meeting, it's the same deal. They have a screen visible. It's an entertainment device, whether they're holding it or not. Doesn't matter if it's mounted. It's illegal. It's a $615 fine. It has 3-day suspension and 3 demerit points on conviction. It's not okay. But, you mentioned the TTC earlier and having a good vantage point. We will regularly do this on campaigns where we'll have officers on the TTC looking out, radioing to another officer to pinch the driver and charge them for what we make observations of.
And that is something that you do quite regularly.
Absolutely. We go out and do campaigns, and education is part of it, but we'll do enforcement. And it's not difficult to catch people because almost every other car is probably using their phone.
It sounded like I didn't believe you. You said this is something we do quite regularly, and my follow-up question was, so it's something that you do quite regularly. What about foods? I mean, so foods, if you're allowed to have because pizza slice could be quite sloppy. It depends really, like a good food, like a hot dog would be a good driving, as long as you don't have too many toppings on it. Anything that's not going to be too sloppy, I would think, could be a problem because people might care more about their food than watching the road.
If you can safely operate your vehicle, you're having your bite, your sip of coffee, and it's not causing you to weave all over the place, you're probably okay. But if you have your knees on the steering wheel and both hands on your food, that's a problem. That's clearly careless driving.
Ramen noodles. What if you, as a police officer, really liked a certain type of food? You pulled somebody over and you were like, oh, you've got pizza from that place? Well, I can understand that. Would you give that person a pass because they had, I don't know, in my case, it would be Maker Pizza. And you're like, oh, man, good call on pizza, but please be a little more careful.
I'm pretty black and white when it comes to distracted driving. We see more collisions because of it than impaired driving now. So we want to make sure people are doing it. So there's no breaks from me. Maybe somebody else has a love of pizza. I would give them a break, but not me.
All right. Okay. Listen, Constable, thank you very much for your time. A regular on Jerry Agar's show, Constable Sean Shapiro from the Toronto Police Traffic Services. Really appreciate your time.
Anytime. Take care.
All right, pho or ramen. Pho or ramen. There's certain things that I just can't get home. And I don't know, it's impossible to eat a pho or a ramen. You could drink the broth maybe, but that would be dangerous.
That's too funny. Listen, it's always fun to meet up with Jim because when he's got such a different show than what I'm used to talking to Jerry. But he last time I was on, he asked me the same thing: would I give someone a break for doing something that they weren't supposed to do? And the answer is no. It's no. crazy, but no. Let me see here. I think they're still on the line. You still there? Let me see here. I can bring them back if they had a question. No, I think we're good. Are we saying goodbye? Oh, no. Okay, logging off. Cool.
Like rollover data.
Take care. I just logged them off, and we're just, it's just you and me. And I don't know if anybody's watching. Oh, we got 3 people watching. Who's watching? We got a couple of folks on Twitch. It's really tempting to go and play some Call of Duty Mobile before bed, but I might just go to bed because it's 9 o'clock and I need sleep. It's been a blast. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you tomorrow morning when we do the Ask a Traffic Cop live stream at 10 o'clock on all the channels. 10 o'clock, all of the channels, answering your traffic and police questions. Have a good one.